Yo, Caleb,
What do you want, Braxton?
what's it like being a huge fucking nerd?
Go ahead then, Braxton. Go to the Bell Factory.
What?
Go to the Bell Factory, since you want to act like such a ding-dong.
Hey, fun fans. Welcome back to We Enjoy. You ready to hack the planet this week, Eric?
I am as ready. Call me the plague, first of all. Do not answer.
I thought you wanted to be the Phantom Freak.
No, I am the plague.
You wanted to be Freddy Freaker. Freddy Freaker! 1-900-490 Freak. We are doing hackers this week in the main event. This is We Enjoy. We are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hi, everybody. It's
And,
Sunday night.
Hackers of the World Unite. If you ever there was a lot of lingo in hackers. We'll talk about it later, but none of it was as good as Strange Days. As you ever jacked in, you ever wire tripped, you ever flip flopped. But what hackers lacked in
What was lacquers in hackers?
what was lacking in hacking, what lacquered in hackers, they didn't have like the techno jargon that Strange Days did, because that was all made up. They made up for in boarding and blading, man. Just all over the city.
Yes.
And so 90s classic, cult classic. I don't know. I think it's kind of beloved. Some people shit on it. I know you don't have a connection to it.
I cannot have a connection to it and say it's beloved because I see it. Like, you know.
Speaking of connection, there was the Elastica song Connection was used for the commercials and the trailer, featured in the movie as well, not featured on the soundtrack. Also, that song Connected is featured in the movie, but that is on the soundtrack. Do you know there were like 4 soundtracks made for this movie?
I do, because the Wikipedia page showed me. That is very strange.
We are recording this on Sunday night, June 6th, for the week of the 7th. Eric is gone all this week, so we are recording this podcast early. I am saying this up top in case any gigantic news breaks. WWE gets sold. Tom Holland dies in a parasailing accident.
Wait, who dies?
Tom Holland. I don't know why.
That's terrible. I don't want that to happen.
But if it did, we'd have to talk about it.
Well, we would have to talk about it, but
I'm saying anything that warrants talking about.
That won't happen, so we won't have missed it. We're good.
Yeah. Bruce Campbell cast as alternate Kraven the Hunter for the MCU version for No Way Home. That one
could happen.
Anyway, anything large and in charge that would have happened entertainment-wise this week, we will not talk about. We do have some things to talk about this week news-wise, but they're just little bibs and bobs. And and then we will also have this week, because Loki drops on Wednesday, we'll just have a separate Loki special, and it'll be a sort of a quick in and out talking about the first premiere episode of Loki, which is going to drop on the 9th on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Regardless of when we're recording this, I'm still putting it up the normal time. That's why you're getting this in the normal feed. You can find us all on Twitter at the Matt Fowler and the Eric Goldman, and We Enjoy Podcast, and over on Patreon, patreon.com/We Enjoy Podcast. For $2 a month, you can get a commercial-free version of this podcast. And that's kind of it. Like, We Enjoy Podcast at gmail.com. Write in if you'd like to. I have a few, just 2 things written in that were layover for meddlers, left over from last podcast, because we had a lot to talk about and we just didn't read the messages from Ryan and Shane. So we'll do that. Eric, how you doing? Are you ready for a big trip?
I'm ready. We'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting dealing with like the, airport, and where I'm, the airport will be the first place where I'm assuming I already read people I know who've gone already, that it's like, everyone's shoulder to shoulder. It's like the pandemic never happened. I mean, people are wearing masks, I guess, but it still just feels kind of intense. And then I'll be in Orlando, where I also don't expect anyone to act like there was ever a pandemic. It'll just be interesting to see how that all feels. I mean, I'm back. I wouldn't be going if I wasn't vaccinated, of course. I think it'll be a big shift from what I've been doing, feeling like I'm doing more. I'm going to restaurants once in a while. I'm going to movies, but socially distanced still. But this will be like in the thick of it, I feel like.
Into the thick of it. Into the thick of it. The Backyardigans was a children's show that my middle child was way into, which had amazing songs. And anyway, my point is those songs are all over TikTok right now. The Backyardigans songs. I think they were written by someone cool, like Mark Mothersbaugh or somebody from Devo, maybe. I don't know. But
certainly possible.
I would watch an entire cabaret show, like an adult cabaret show of people just singing Backyardigans songs. If you asked me a year and a half, 2 years ago, things that I thought would be unsettling, dare I say triggering to me now in 2021, two things I don't think I would have said. One would be crowds, which is just, I think a lot of people now just have sort of an innate, icky, response to just seeing crowds just because of what we all went through. And doesn't mean that you can't go into one and you're not, some people can't, some people won't. But there's just a this isn't right feeling about it. The second one is American flags, which have come to mean a very different thing to me. Like if I see somebody with an American flag on their lawn or with an American flag T-shirt, I immediately think the worst of them. And so that's something else I didn't think would be like, oh, I am walking into the orbit of a domestic terrorist.
This might be a very dangerous and bad person.
Yeah, so I don't know. Okay. Let's get into the quick bits of news here. The first of which is that while we do expect at some point, perhaps a Quiet Place Part 3 to come about, like something Krasinski helmed or just at least following the characters from the first two movies, there was an announcement of a Quiet Place spinoff, which is something that takes place within the Quiet Place universe. This is a concept. This isn't just we don't have to just follow the same families, much like The Walking Dead or The Purge. This is an entire thing that affects the world, and a million stories could be told within this context. And so right now, Jeff Nichols is writing and directing this spinoff, which is based on an idea from Krasinski, but it is not a direct follow-up to Quiet Place Part 2.
Right. And I think it sounds like it's he'll have, like, Krasinski will probably have a story by credit, because it said, it's based on his idea. But it was funny. I think it was Deadline who had like just a funny, like, it was like the headline or the tweet they used was like Quiet Place Part 3 sets date. And then like the first line of the article is like, this is not Quiet Place Part 3. It's a spinoff.
Yeah.
It's in the same universe.
What if Krasinski's only idea was Quiet Place, but different? Right. But not these people.
But different character. Not my wife.
Not my wife. He says it like that for some reason too. I think I already mentioned this, how much I enjoyed. I think last podcast I talked about how Quiet Place Part 2 was a crackerjack movie. Eric liked it quite a bit.
Oh, it's great. It's really great. Krasinski, he can direct the hell out of some horror. That opening sequence. Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you that the interesting migration of comedians. Now he's not John Krasinski's not a comedian,
but we knew him as
a famous sitcom. He's not like a comedic actor or writer like Jordan Peele, but I like the way, and we can include Chris Rock in this doing Spiral, but the migration of comedy.
Danny McBride with Halloween.
Right. The migration of comedic people over into the horror genre is very fascinating to me, and I am all for it, and I love every part of it. Okay. Anything else to say on that before I move on to Cruella?
No. It just makes look at that huge opening weekend. It's going to be the biggest hit we've had since pre-pandemic. Paramount, who kind of starving for franchises that aren't Mission Impossible. Star Trek's back on TV, but they still haven't launched more movies with that. So I'm sure they are very excited by what Quiet Place is doing, and hopefully they do it well and they don't make bad things, because we like the good stuff they've been giving us.
Mission Impossible 7, which is still filming, by the way, had to shut down due to a positive COVID test, which I'm sure Tom Cruise was none too pleased about, given his his rant to the crew that went viral.
Yep.
All right. Cruella sequel is in development with just about everyone intact, right? Like
same writer, same director.
This one I wasn't sure about, just because this didn't do Quiet Place box office numbers, but it also released on, I'm going to get this wrong again, Disney Plus Premier Access.
Premier
on
Access.
demand?
Yes.
Premier Access. Part of it somewhere in there. We don't know what kind of money that brought in, but also you have to imagine that every studio that releases a movie right now is just accepting it's going to make probably 50 to 60% less than it would have anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
there's just that is just going to be this asterisk with everything right now. Like I expect Fast 9 will be the biggest movie we've seen again so far. But it's not going to make $1 billion this one, right? It's just like, we're just
I'm not even confident. Marvel's track record has been pretty huge.
Yep.
But I don't think Black Widow is going to crack that.
Oh no, I don't think either. I think Black Widow has a lot of again, and it'll all be asterisk but it has a lot of things to get beyond, which is, it got so heavily promoted already. So there's but we already know what happens to her thing. I don't know how much that really mattered, but now it's going to be premiere access. And it's still opening early enough in all this that, I don't think it's going to be like it will not be one of, it won't be like a Captain Marvel or Black Panther sized hit when you look at like solo movies of recent years. It might be,
or even Far From Home.
Right. I'm just saying it might perform like Ant-Man, which, we kind of got a false sense of like every MCU movie will break $1 billion when like no Thor movie has done that. And so now that we have like Black Widow opening still in the midst of a pandemic, which is worldwide and where some places are still really struggling, and these movies count on worldwide box office, and there's so many other factors, and there's the Disney Plus factor. Yeah, I honestly think the first movie I feel might be in a much better shape, with hopefully the world in better shape, is Spider-Man at the end of the year, because it's a massive movie with a massive selling point if all these guys are really coming back. And it's December. It's like long enough from now that hopefully almost everyone will be in much better shape, and theaters will be, more open, more capacity, et cetera, et cetera.
Let's hope the plague does not return. And by that, I mean Fisher Stevens and hackers.
And the actual pandemic.
Look, hackers did not kill him off. He can return in any capacity. Where's my plague origin story?
If we're gonna get all these origins of
my Eugene, I can't remember his last name, but
I'm not Eugene anymore.
I'm the plague. I'm literally the plague. Or even Lorraine Bracco's stupid character. Okay, Issa Rae is voicing Spider-Woman in Into the Spider-Verse 2. So it's a bit of voice casting news there. Issa Rae, you would know from HBO's Insecure, also The Lovebirds, which I wanted to like more than I did. It was still fun. I watched it. That was a movie that was supposed to be released, got shut down through the pandemic, and then went to video on demand.
One of the first, sold to streaming movies. When I saw the trailer to that many times in the theater.
Yeah,
but then it wasn't in the theater.
I'm not complaining yet because I'm just still happy to see trailers, but it's a long way to August. And if I have to see the Night House trailer,
for me, it's Free Guy. Maybe the first 6 movies I went back. Free Guy.
I haven't seen Free Guy trailer once.
Wow. Well, AMC Burbank, they love that Free Guy.
The whole thing about the Free Guy trailer is that I'd already seen it. Like, it was supposed to already come out. We've already seen the trailer. Yes. We've seen a couple different versions of this trailer now. Night House I've only seen before movies. It's Rebecca Hall.
I've only seen that once.
That's a spooky ghost story. But yeah, every movie I've seen has Night House.
Obviously, Texas and LA have different.
We love our night houses.
Actually, honestly, at first I kept seeing Cruella and Free Guy. Now Cruella's out, so that's not going to be a trailer anymore. But Free Guy, lots of Free Guy trailer.
Moonwalking back a bit to the Cruella sequel. I am excited about that because you and I both like this movie. And also, the more this movie goes forward, the more maybe it will make people shut up about like that this movie has to connect in some way to 101 Dalmatians.
Right. Must. Issa Rae Spider-Woman I think is really cool. I think they did say it's the Jessica Drew Spider-Woman because if you know your comics, there's been like 10 Spider-Woman. It's one of those, savvy moves too, because we know that Olivia Wilde is developing a Spider-Woman movie to direct live action. And so you can introduce the character first in this way. And Spider-Verse, that movie is just brilliant, genius, amazing, spectacular. And I am very excited for this. Uncanny web of
incredible. Yeah.
What a web of movie.
Spider-Man War Journal.
And so I'm very excited about anything that they're doing with it, and look forward to seeing it later next year.
All right, let me dig into these notices from Ryan wrote in via email. Again, that's weenjoypodcast@gmail.com. Hey, Ryan here. If I'm Ryan, I'm dying on Twitter. I've had some interactions with you guys on Twitter. Sorry. Oh no, sorry for the blank email. I accidentally hit the send button right before this. There was a blank email. Been a fan since the channel surfing days, and just want to say thank you for the podcast. My mental health has really been bad lately, and I've gone back and listened to your conversations on Mission Impossible, Saw, Fast and Furious, and Friday the 13th, and it's been a big help. So thank you. I actually have a movie recommendation. It's called Funny Games, particularly the American version, which has Tim Roth, Naomi Watts, and Michael Pitt, who I always thought would be a good Joker. Anyways, thanks, guys, and congrats to Matt's son for getting through his junior year. That's based on a tweet about my son getting through junior year in virtual school. So thank you, Ryan, and I'm happy that this was able to help you get through tough times. I know everyone's going through it in their own various ways. So if we alleviated any part of that, I'm very happy. Thank you. Funny Games, Eric, to me, I think I've seen bits and pieces of it. What was the original? Was it British?
I am looking that up right now because I've not seen Austrian, I believe.
Okay. Yes. Funny Games to me reminds me of the Simpsons Barton. No, not Barton Fink joke. The Simpsons naked lunch joke.
Yeah.
Which is when Nelson's like, I can think of two things wrong with that title. Yes. And so Funny Games always reminds me of that, which is like, it's a movie basically about a home invasion. And Ryan, thanks for the recommendation. I don't know if I will stick through Funny Games because I've seen bits and pieces of it. I'm not a huge fan of straight home invasion movies that are just kind of cruel. Like it's why I didn't watch Knock Knock, which was that Keanu Reeves movie. I did watch The Strangers. That was a little different, but just like Straw Dogs are just awful. I don't know. I have a weird, there needs to be sort of a point for me rather than just sort of nihilism. And maybe I have the wrong take on Funny Games, but that's what it felt like to me. Pitt, though, I think you and I talked about this a lot, maybe even on channel surfing. I can't remember, but certainly in your reviews of Hannibal, Pitt was doing Joker as Mason Verger on Hannibal. So I don't know if you've seen Hannibal, Ryan, but if you want to see Pitt doing Joker, then watch his performance on Hannibal.
I will say, Ryan, also thank you very much. Sorry times have been tough. They certainly have for a lot of us, but some more than others. And so very glad to hear that we've been giving you some time to alleviate that. I've never seen either version of Funny Games, but I would like to. I totally get what you say, Matt. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, this is just freaking heavy, but I think I'm a little more open to those kind of movies than you.
Which is not the way you thought that our opinions would land based on who we are.
Sure. And Michael Pitt, great on Hannibal in a Jokerish performance. Michael Pitt also notoriously difficult. One of those.
You mean because he got fired from two shows? One which killed him off and the other which recast him.
Yes. Michael Pitt, there's just some people that it seems like kind of maybe have a little bit of self-sabotage in them. And so there's a reason Michael Pitt isn't probably a bigger deal than you'd think he would have been as a young man and who has a lot of talent. So I don't think Warner Brothers will probably be hiring him. But if you do, again, I do agree that, on Hannibal, he was great before they recast him. Did a very Jokerish performance in that show.
I'm trying to think like the last thing. I was like, I've seen him recently, more recent than Hannibal. And it was a bad movie, a Netflix movie called The Last Days of American Crime that I reviewed for IGN, and I think was one of the rare zeros on Netflix. Because even to register, you need a certain amount of reviews.
Yeah.
So I contributed to that. If that's still, it still has and that had Edgar Ramirez and Shardo Copley and Michael Pitt. But anyway.
Oh my God. Well, I'm looking at what he's been in recent years. I was amused to see that he was in Detective Chinatown 2.
Oh, those are huge movies.
Because Detective Chinatown 3 made so much money in the middle of the pandemic, was breaking $500 million, but so did the one he was in. Chinatown 2 was
he
also
doesn't need
giant...
us. He just needs the Chinese box office. He's fine.
Detective Chinatown. Michael Pitts, Detective. He probably is in like one scene, but it made $541 million.
Oh, you know what he's in? It just came out. It just premiered like 2 days ago. He's on the Apple TV Plus's Stephen King series, that Lizzie story.
Oh, my mom likes that. I have not seen it. It would be funny though.
His story.
She does. It's making me laugh that he's not. I'm like, maybe he's not in Detective Chinatown 3 because he was so difficult.
Or they recast him. Michael Pitt is the Pitts. All right. Shane wrote in this time on Patreon. Hey guys, on Eric's suggestion, I just watched the first episode of Earth to Ned. That was one of your good things to enjoy, Eric, and thought it was great. I will definitely keep watching. I also wanted to mention that even though I support you guys on Patreon and can listen ad-free, I usually listen on my podcast app, and I don't really mind the commercials because unlike any other podcast I listen to, y'all's commercials pop up in the most random parts of the podcast. They sure do, because I can't, first of all, you and I don't allow for very many natural pauses, at least that I can find. And also, then you combine that with the fact that I do not have the patience after I've assembled this podcast and put it all together to then go through and spend 20 to 25 minutes finding perfect places for commercial placement, because it never lands where you think it's going to land. It always lands like 3 seconds earlier or later, and then it still interrupts something and it's not perfect. So at this point, I just use our host like ad algorithm and just click yes, and it just puts ads places. So that's why it's so exciting, Shane. So Shane continues, like in the middle of sentences. It's a bit startling, but also a bit exciting. I always jump a little and then laugh at myself for a second when the mid-sentence commercials, bamf, come out of nowhere. Okay. Okay, let's get into our good things to enjoy. Before we talk about our good things to enjoy, let's mention our main event for next week, which we are sticking with the 90s. And we're going to do the Sly Stallone, Wesley Snipes futuristic actioner Demolition Man. Also starring Sandra Bullock and Dennis Leary
and Rob Schneider
and Jesse Ventura, who strangely vanishes halfway through the movie. So we'll do Demolition Man. It's a fun 90s gem that is also not a franchise, so we could just tackle it as is. And it is one of the star makers for Sandra Bullock. Before she started headlining her own movies, she got to be in Speed and Demolition Man, and she was so charming that they were like, give her the movie where she falls in love with the coma patient. What was that called?
While You Were Sleeping.
Yes. Peter Gallagher. That was the movie where Bill Pullman finally got to be the romantic lead, Eric.
Right.
He was always the shit on guy. Okay.
Meg
Ryan didn't love him because he had allergies.
He was like the nice guy who just wasn't good enough.
I guess you could say he was the romantic lead in Spaceballs.
He is the hero of Spaceballs.
I consider him the romantic lead in Independence Day too.
I'm saying he's okay. Yeah, sure.
I think he's also the romantic lead in The Sinner, which is an ongoing series. That's just him. He's the connecting detective in that show. Every new season, a new sinner.
There's a new sinner. The Sinner, by the way, was a billboard that when the pandemic happened and, we got to see what life would be like a little bit in a post-apocalyptic, because the Sinner, coming in whatever month, billboard stayed up for like a year near me. Like the Sinner had come and gone that season, but its billboard remained as there was nothing else to advertise for ages and ages.
All right. What is your good thing to enjoy for this week?
I was just going to say Demolition Man, where you can watch it. Oddly, this is the first time I've seen this for when I'm looking up where movies are. It's on AMC Plus, but otherwise you can rent or buy it anywhere. Okay. My good thing to enjoy is the series Betty, which is an HBO series, which also means you could watch it on HBO Plus.
Is it a Betty Rubble origin story?
It is not at all that. And it's about to return for season 2 on June 11th, which I didn't get screeners of. I asked HBO for. I think they're going to give them to me tomorrow, but I'll be on my trip and I probably won't be able to watch them. So I'll just probably watch the show live, or not live, but after it airs. But Betty is It's kind of a weird spin-off-ish or reinvention, I should say, of a 2018 movie called Skate Kitchen, which in itself is about a group of real-life female skaters that, in New York, they met, they became friends.
Wait a minute. Is this Hackers?
It's not Hackers. There's no plague. These they were teenagers. They're probably in their early 20s at this point. But these young girls who were skaters in New York, who got sort of seen on Instagram and whatnot. And a movie was made it wasn't made about them because the movie was fictionalized. They were playing characters, but pretty much kind of playing themselves as these characters. I like Skate Kitchen a lot. Betty is a TV show version, although it also is not in continuity with Skate Kitchen, even though they're playing the same character names, like they re-meet and stuff. It's like, it's telling its own version, much like Cruella and 101 Dalmatians. It is not the exact same continuity, but it's a show that's, you kind of vibe with it. It's a show that is basically exploring a world that I certainly don't know because I am not a teenage girl skating in New York in the 2020s.
Not in this universe anyway.
Not in this universe, but it's one of those shows where it's like it just really immerses you into this world and these girls' lifestyles. And it's a kind of hangout show. It is not plot heavy. Like, the episodes have kind of little mini this is happening, who do they like, there's some relationship stuff there going on sometimes between the girls, sometimes with other people, and it's just a really cool sort of vibe to it. And it's hard to say, but it's like I know we use this word a couple times, other things. There's a little bit of a dreamy vibe to it because some of it's just kind of like there's some cool shots of them skating through New York. And then it's just like sort of a fly on the wall quality to it as you hang with them. But they're very likable. These kids, they're, again, like I said, they're playing kind of slight variations on themselves. There is a girl who is almost like, Nina Moran is her real name, but she's playing a character named Kurt. And she's almost like a female Jason Mewes is kind of her persona and her vibe. That I think is basically.
You say Mewes or Muse?
Muse. I said Mewes, but I should have said Muse. But yeah,
the
that's
Muse, kind of, neat.
Yeah, she's kind of got this this vibe that's very similar to him. She's kind of a scene stealer, and I just really dig the feel of it. There was 6 episodes, of the first season. I was very happy to see it got renewed, kind of because it was right when the pandemic struck, and a lot of shows got either canceled or unrenewed because of the pandemic. Like that was a deciding factor. Like, well, this is too tricky to make.
Like Glow and yeah.
What else? Drunk History. There were a few. So Betty had not been renewed, but I thought, well, this is such a tiny show for HBO.
Stumptown. I was like, what else made me mad?
Stumptown. Yeah. Betty had just, they were waiting on a renewal, but I thought, man, filming these girls skating in New York right now, I don't know. Like they might just cancel it, but they didn't cancel it.
They would have the streets to themselves.
They'd have the streets to themselves.
It would be like, it'd be like I Am Legend.
Right.
But with skateboard girls.
Oh, damn. But the skateboard says I Am Legend. That's right.
Oh my God. I Am Legend, but with skateboard girls. This is a movie.
Yes.
Is something. I don't know what it is, but it's something.
But the plague is in it. Anyway. So yeah, it's back for season 2 this week. Another 6 episodes. I really like it, and you should watch it. And I see that some of the girls, I'm looking at the writing credits for season 2, and it looks at least one of them is writing an episode. So that's cool. Anyway, Betty, check it out, and Skate Kitchen as well, the movie that inspired it.
My good thing to enjoy this week is up in the air. I have a few questions to ask you. First of all, I watched Bo Burnham's Inside special and loved it.
Yes.
So on your recommendation, I was going to anyway, but it's not. You didn't push me over the edge, Eric. That's what I'm saying.
Nothing to do with it. Yes, but I'm glad you liked it.
I watched it and I liked it, and it got me thinking to similar things that I don't think I've recommended on this podcast. Did I recommend? It's a TV series, How To with John Wilson.
Don't think so. By the way, I was starting to say to you, and then you thought of something else and cut me off before we starting that. I'm like, we need to make a spreadsheet where we list the things we've recommended.
I know, because we both keep forgetting. Done it too. You've because there was a show you were talking to lots of other people about, and you couldn't remember if you also talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
The other thing is, did I recommend Derek Del Guadio's In and of Itself on Hulu?
Don't think so.
Well, I'm recommending both of these things. I'm cheating.
Oh,
because
man.
both of these things I love.
I kind of cheated too because I threw in the movie. So there you go.
I guess so. Both of these things I loved, and both of these things reminded me of sort of the way I felt about watching Bo Burnham's Inside, which is to say, the way we react to really well-made, clever, insightful, quote unquote, performative grief.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't doubt that. Like, look, anything that is any art that has to do with bad feelings is performative no matter what. That doesn't mean it wasn't rooted in the artist's original feelings. But if someone gets on a stage in a concert and is singing a sad song years after they wrote it from a place of pain, they are re-entering a state of grief that they once felt, but it's not the same. It's performative grief. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. My little aside by that is the star of the moment, Olivia Rodrigo, who's all of 18 and has this big, huge hit album.
That sounds exactly like a Paramore song, her big hit. Yeah, anyway.
All about her, huge heartbreak over this guy breaking her heart. But in interviews, she's like, I'm not there right now. Like, I'm okay now, but everyone's connecting to it, especially like, these young girls that are like, I feel this too, even though she's not feeling it right now.
So I think that's the service. That's the service, right? Yeah. Is the connective feeling that you create with an audience and other people. Art takes two people, the creator and the viewer. So it's just because. So I'm saying, like, Bo Burnham's thing, I think, was really heavy and really magical. But was he feeling this way throughout? He's performing this throughout an entire year in a pandemic, and everything is very purposefully done, like his shots and everything. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that he's not also speaking to things that we feel and creating sort of a communal emotional experience. Anyway, I liked Inside. So very quickly, because I'm rambling, How To with John Wilson was one of my favorite shows from last year. It was probably in my top 3, if not, it wasn't 1, but I think it was at like 2 or 3. You can watch it on HBO Max. It is 1 season right now. It was renewed for a second season. It is I think it's 6 episodes for the first season. It is a docuseries created by John Wilson, who's this filmmaker, and it's really just sort of a people watching observational documentary about New York. And every episode has a theme and starts with a concept, but then his filming and his experience and the people he meets winds up shaping the episode into something maybe very different from what he started out with. And then finding a message at the end of that, and which is like how to make every episode is called How To. So how to make small talk, how to improve your memory, which he sort of focuses on the Mandela effect, how to split the check, how to cover your furniture, how to cook the perfect risotto. And it just, the way it was filmed and when it was filmed saddled up very profoundly to the lockdown. Like when by the end of him filming New York stuff is when everything started going into lockdown. And so that gets wrapped and folded into the finale and the theme of what that original finale was. I thought it was a great series and I love it. I can't wait for season 2. Then the other one is Derek DelGuardio's In and of Itself, which was a stage show that he created. And he is a magician, storyteller, performance artist who had this one-man show. And then they basically filmed it. Frank Oz directed this, and you can see it on Hulu. This is even harder for me to describe. I don't know how to describe In and of Itself, except that it will make you feel so many things. And basically, I'm telling you that both of these things will make you cry. Okay. And I can't exactly go into the specifics of why or how, but Derek DelGuardio tells stories while doing magic, but also interacting with the audience and having interesting visual art behind him. And I can't really tell you what it's about necessarily. Like, even if I were read what the summary of In and of Itself is, it's really vague and pretentious. So I'm not even going to try. But I recommend both of those. And that one is on Hulu.
Well, these are all brand new to me, so I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So if you liked Inside, Eric, I think you'll enjoy both of those.
Okay, cool.
Okay, on to Hackers. Full spoilers for Hackers from 1995. A movie that I saw in the theater, very much enjoyed, while at the same time realizing it wasn't high art. Look, so Fisher Stevens' character, there's a lot of this movie that was trying to shine a spotlight on the cyberpunk community, the hackers community, making them probably look and act a little cooler than they were. But nobody watching that movie thought The Plague was cool by any stretch. Like everyone thought, like he was designed, I think, to be the ultimate weenie anyway.
Yeah, so, no, I think it was meant to be.
If you find yourself laughing at the ridiculousness of anything he does, like riding a skateboard into the computer room, I think that was supposed to. I don't think anyone is supposed to be like, "Oh, cool, he's riding a skateboard."
I mean, the only thing that's funny is that I think we are supposed to think it's cool that they're on rollerblades.
No, but it's almost trying to tell us that rollerblades are cooler.
Right. He's old.
Point. Like it's the 90s, so it's all about blading, brah. Not
even though skateboarding is very much continues to be a thing young people do way more. I'm not saying no one rollerblades, but a rollerblade was much more of a fad than skateboarding has turned out to be.
No, that's true. Someone should actually make a TV show about girls skateboarding in New York.
That's insane.
So this movie was directed by not a really notable guy, Ian Softly, a Brit, but he did direct a very, I think, underrated horror movie favorite of mine called The Skeleton Key. And that's kind of the only other notable movie for me.
For me, it's Backbeat because I saw that in the theater, which was Beatles Origins.
That was the movie he did before this.
Yeah, which had Stephen Dorff, Ian Hart, and Cheryl Lee, Laura Palmer herself.
Yes. And then he also directed K-Pax and Inkheart, which was like a Brendan Fraser fantasy movie. Okay. So Hackers also landed in the mid 90s when movie soundtracks were a huge thing. So if we talk about like, obviously Tarantino soundtracks were their own thing, but like The Crow or, give me some other soundtracks from the 90s.
Well,
Judgment Night.
Yeah, and the star of this movie a year later would be in Trainspotting, which itself would have two soundtracks.
That's right, Trainspotting. Like a lot of these indie films actually had big soundtracks. This movie had spin-off soundtracks that featuring songs that weren't in the movie, but it was one of those inspired by the movie Hackers deals.
Yeah,
which just highlights a lot of electronic music, like more Prodigy, more Orbital, more The Orb kind of music. So Hackers involves the opening to Hackers, I thought is sort of a clever, funny thing, which is this whole SWAT team swarming in on a suburban house. This is 1988. We're in Seattle. We briefly see Felicity Huffman in court.
Yep.
But
not on the side she'd end up in real life.
She'd be where Dade Murphy is. Right. Which is he's on trial for infecting a bunch of computers with a virus at the age of
11, because
11
7 years later he's 18.
Yeah. On the 18th birthday he goes right to that computer. And the dad, all we know is that the dad eventually leaves. Oh, okay. So I don't want to actually put him in the bad dad category, but who knows how it all shook out. But the weird family history, we find out later. Parents are together. Dad's outside washing the car. Dade gets arrested. But then when Plague is going over his mom's record later, it's like they split up, but then reconciled, but then split up again. And then there was a custody battle. So the dad was actually fighting to get Dade. So I don't think we can write him off as a terrible father. But anyway, my point is that they're panning through the courtroom and we don't see young Dade until it like actually gets over to the defendant's seat. And then the camera has to tilt down because he's a short kid. And it's like, what? This wasn't a full grown adult wreaking havoc on the American financial system. It was a young child.
Youth. Yes.
Yeah. Stupid youths.
And then we get the opening credits, which are set to a very familiar song. what? How do you pronounce this word? Halcyon. Halcyon. And On by Orbital, which the thing I first think of when I hear that song, same year. So this song had a big year in movies. It's the closing song, not the closing credit song, but it's the last song in Mortal Kombat 95 as they're all celebrating. They won before the giant head appears, and we cut to the techno music closing credits, but it's also prominently used at the end of Mean Girls in kind of the same, like, the story is over way. But
which is interesting to note because that movie's so not like in 1995.
It's a decade later. Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. Do we need to retire that song too? Like Sympathy for the Devil, like we talked about last week?
It's not quite there, but if it gets in a couple more, then they'll have.
Okay. Cruella better use Halcyon plus on by Orbital. Right. Okay. So 7 years later, it is explained that the mom is moving there for a job because the way New York City is now, mothers like my mother and the mother in this movie can't just take their kid and move to New York. They wouldn't be able to. Single mom moving to New York would not be able to afford it. But whatever job this mom has is funding this trip.
I was impressed that this movie actually shot in New York, which that's hard to do and usually costs some money. So I'm surprised it wasn't Canada, which leads me to B. The actress playing his mom is a Canadian actress named Alberta Watson, who did a lot of Canadian indie movies, including one I've recommended on this podcast before. She's in The Sweet Hereafter. She and Bruce Greenwood were having an affair in that movie. But she also has a funny kind of side career. She was on a season of 24, but then she was also on La Femme Nikita. And then they put her on a recurring role in Nikita, the later TV show, has a nod to the fact that she was from the old show. Sadly, she passed away at like 60. She died of cancer. But she had just interesting careers, like a lot of Canadian indie movies. But then she would do these mainstream things intermixed, including Hackers.
What did you, at this point, I didn't know Johnny Lee Miller from anything, I don't think.
Right.
I knew... I don't know that I knew Angelina Jolie from anything before this.
No, for sure. I mean, it is weird. I was having this conversation on Twitter when I was watching this movie on Saturday night with some people that it is weird I didn't see this movie because
I am very shocked.
I saw everything. And I certainly, like a lot of people, was a little bit in love with Angelina Jolie just by seeing her in the trailer. Like, she's so striking looking and she's got that short hair. And it was like, who is that girl? But this was definitely, her breakout, his breakout. I mean, this movie wasn't a hit. And it is funny. So Johnny Lee Miller, for me, I would be introduced to by Trainspotting, which you and I saw together. I'd already seen it, but we saw together.
But when I saw it, I was like,
you knew him as
this is fucking Zero Cool.
Right. You knew him already as Zero Cool.
AKA Crash Override, AKA Dade Murphy. Yeah, I knew who he was. I was like, why is Dade doing a Scottish accent? Right, I mean, we can talk a little bit about Johnny Lee Miller's kind of piss poor, but going for it American accent.
Right.
It's not great, and it goes in and out, and it can't really decide what it wants to be. But
he had an interesting career in that this was obviously supposed to be his breakout role. The movie didn't really take off at the time, though it had developed a cult following. But then he did Trainspotting, and he got to, he went back and did, got to do some British Irish stuff, and then had, started to kind of take off a little more.
And then his Plunkett, the era of Plunkett and McLean took off.
That's right. And then eventually all roads led to Sherlock.
Elementary, you mean?
Yes. Well, playing Sherlock.
Oh, playing Sherlock Holmes. Elementary, underrated of the modern era Sherlock Holmes.
I agree. I didn't see a lot of it, but I liked what I saw. And Trish was very into that show.
Actually. It was a very good show. I just couldn't hang for fucking 150 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
I think I lasted 4 seasons, but, even at that point, and we didn't have the content we have now, but even at that point, it was so hard to keep up with 22 episode seasons, network shows. It was very difficult. So, I hung for like 4.5 seasons, but never didn't like it. I just couldn't keep up with it anymore. I don't know how it ended. No idea.
And looking at Johnny Lee Miller's credits, by the way, as we tangent, I forgot that he was on a season of Dexter.
Yeah, he was the villain in season 5.
Yeah, I completely had forgotten about that.
The best season.
Yes.
So yeah, he was on the Lumen season with Julia Stiles.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't remember if his American accent was better or the same, honestly, than it was in Hackers. Yeah, I fell in love with Angelina Jolie in this movie hard. I think the next time I was super in love with her was Mr. and Mrs. Smith. But actually before Mr. and Mrs. Smith, she had those, I don't want to call them goggles. She had those like shades on, those like yellow shades for like that assassins wear, apparently. I don't know. She looked really cool. No, Bone Collector. That was the other time I fell in love with her too.
Okay. And you know who else fell in love with her?
Johnny Lee Miller.
Johnny Lee Miller, because they got married.
All right.
Didn't last, but
maybe they dreamt about each other the way Dade and Kate did in this movie.
So it's weird. I'm trying to think now because I didn't see this movie and I didn't see it for many years. I also, of course, prior to this, she was in Cyborg 2. What would I have first actually have seen her in?
Okay, well, did you see Playing God? Because I saw that because people who I was living with was in love with David Duchovny.
No, I don't think I did.
And it was terrible. It's a bad movie. But
you know what?
Did you see Playing by Heart, the movie that was originally called Dancing About Architecture?
Yes. Playing by Heart, I definitely saw. And I was excited because they filmed a scene in the parking lot underground from the Virgin Megastore I worked at.
They filmed Playing by Heart in the patio cafe area at Pete's Edgemar Santa Monica when I was the manager.
Both our workplaces are in this
exactly.
movie? That's amazing. So yeah, I bet that was the first thing I saw her in. That's really funny.
It was either that Gia, or I was gonna say, did you see Gia too?
I saw Gia, but I don't think I saw Gia like when it first aired. I think Playing by Heart was the first thing I saw her in. So
probably.
All right. I don't think anyone remembers, nor should they.
Backers to Hackers. Mm-hmm. So Dade transfers to he's transferring in his senior year. He's bummed out. At least he has his computer. He gets into a taste of a hack. We get our first sort of taste of a hack in this movie when he hacks into a local station or a cable access station and tricks the person. Like back then, hacking was so takes so much legwork. I use that term loosely, which is to say he has to trick like the person on duty into giving him the modem number so he can call in. The telephone, which was a term I used last week to show you how old I am, is used quite frequently in this movie because using that for hacking, because literally needed phone lines to connect to the internet back then. So phones were a huge part of Hackers as a movie in general.
But we should say, of course, Hackers, one thing I do know about Hackers is that no one feels like it realistically depicted hacking in the year 1995.
No, it was like any movie dealing with sort of computers. It's a weird like leap ahead 4 or 5 years into what we think it'll be, and then it never is. Even the fact that he sees New York City like he's in fucking Tron, like he looks at the skyline and he sees everything is like everything's a circuit, digital jazz. Or the fact that the Gibson computer area, where Penn Jillette and the Plague work, looks like they're in Tron. They look like they're in the grid.
Yeah. This movie opened the same year as The Net, which I did see in the theater. And both these movies are very funny because they're trying to get ahead on something they can't get ahead on. And trying to be like,
does The Net like, remember that Michael Douglas, Demi Moore movie, Disclosure, where the end is in virtual reality? They wanted to combine the internet and hacking with virtual reality as a visual. I guess the filmmakers back then just felt it's visually more interesting. If you're going to show hacking, it's kind of boring. Right. So we need to make everything look like Lawnmower Man, or else people aren't going to understand what's going on. So we need to show it physically, which isn't in the real world. But the end of Disclosure is Michael Douglas having to sneak in and get a file, and he's like inside it's like virtually inside a computer
file cabinet. Yeah, it's bizarre. That whole era is very funny. This was the other things that stand out to me about when his first big hack we see is that the show is called America First, and it's about a racist dude.
Yep.
So,
I have that in my notes too.
That part was definitely
racist ramblings in a show called America First.
But
this movie predicted a lot of things.
It did predict some things pretty well.
It predicted customizable keyboards. It predicted that the meme of people with equations circling their fucking head.
And the other thing that was funny, though, that is of the time that, you know, how things change, is that the whole thing is that he replaces the America First broadcast with the Outer Limits, except that he actually he's hacking, but he wants to physically change a actual tape, because it's not just being like, you know, streamed or digital.
Yeah, because so the TV station is using a robot arm to switch tapes out. Literally.
Right.
So
yes,
that's the way he could do it. And then when he gets into a fight with Kate, he'd find out later it's Kate.
Yeah.
It's like dueling computer pinchers.
They're tug of war. Yes. Yeah, that's how I'm sure that's happened in history.
There's also and not just making the hacking virtual, like as a visual aid for us, the audience.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also this is going way back into HBO's original programming roots. There's a dream on element to this, which is like the dream sequences, but also like Dade looking at her and like imagining different scenarios of kissing in like movies and stuff, which is like what Brian Benben's character would do on Dream On. So there's some weird wonky things about this film. Part of me, and they're thematically not connected at all, but part of me likens it to Mystery Men, which I think is a funny movie, but just really strangely stylized and directed.
Yeah.
This is sort of the same way, which is kind of like, there's like a good, decent narrative in here, but then there's these weird stylistic pop-up book elements that kind of feel distracting when you go back and watch it later. He's on his computer with his tiny little cool hacker shades. It's his birthday. He's bummed about transferring to a new school as a senior. By the way, that school is Stuyvesant High School, which is in Tribeca in Manhattan. Matthew Wang went there, Eric. Andrew Ralston, I believe, also went to Stuyvesant.
I know those guys. So I knew them at least.
Yeah, so a few people that Eric knows after middle school actually went on to go to Stuyvesant, which is a public school. So they didn't continue on in this private school, middle school that we were at. Mm-hmm. And then, I don't know. So yeah, he gets to the school and he just happens to be at a school that has a large hacker community.
That's the funniest
this
thing
is the
about
weird
the
thing
movie
is that this movie posits that within every
school
school is just the hacker community.
That is the part that shocked me. I thought it was so funny because the obvious thing to do, even in 1995, given that this movie is showing the people who would be at the most state of the art, is to find other people online who are like him. But no, he just goes to like Xavier School for Gifted Hackers. Like,
I need to ask Wang if there was this many hackers at Stuyvesant.
That is a shitload of hackers at this school. Yeah.
Well, and Freddie Freaker, Phantom Freak, is the one who like sees him hacking. I think he puts himself into Kate's class and is like recognizes him as a hacker.
But they also have a really bizarre first encounter because he walks up to him while he's on the phone.
Oh, he's like, "Hey, kid." Yeah.
There's so many people around. Why would he bother the guy on the phone? But then why does the guy on the phone say, "I don't know where the principal's office is"? Everything about that exchange. You are a student here. I think you would know where the principal's office is. So I don't understand.
But why does he call the guy who's taller than him and probably older than him because he's 18, kid?
Just to think he does.
There's a lot of elements of this movie too that are just sort of plucked from other movies. Like Taxi Driver shows up twice in various references. Like You Talking to Me scene comes up with both Dade and the Plague, both sort of quoting that. And then like things that you didn't see a lot in movies. It was just like actually referencing other pop culture in the movie you're watching was sort of a thing that took off big in the 90s.
Very much. So, I mean, Kevin Smith was kind of obviously kind of the
Kevin
one
Smith and Tarantino, like bringing in like people in a movie talking about movies that exist in our world.
And it's hard to explain how at the time it seemed like amazing. Like,
yeah, it's like no one in Goonies was like, hey, did you see Beverly Hills Cop?
Right.
You know,
like, someone might mention, like, make a reference to,
I mean, they mentioned
Darth
Michael
Vader,
Jackson, but they mentioned Michael Jackson.
Or someone might make a Darth Vader joke, but to do anything more than a cursory mention, to actually have characters like have an exchange about other movies, was very rare. And then the 90s, it became a big thing. And for a little while, it was just like, it felt so amazing, like, because we hadn't seen it before.
And but anyway, the fact that that Phantom Freak called Joey Boy Meets World, I thought was very amusing.
Mm-hmm. Also, there is the two references to Taxi Driver, as you noted. There is also a dialogue reference to Summer School, which I was very, very excited.
Tension breaker. Oh, so the whole thing, again, talking about actors seeing him for the first time. I had seen Lillard in this before Scream.
Right.
So, but your first intro to him was probably Scream.
100% Scream. I mean, all these.
I think I had also seen him maybe in SLC Punk. When did that come out? When did SLC Punk come out?
Which I've still never seen.
I think that was after Scream.
I've still never seen that. The only actor in this that I would, there's the two actors in this I would have been familiar with are Lorraine Bracco
and Fisher Stevens.
Because of the Short Circuit. Yeah, the villains. I knew the villains.
What a weird bozo role for both of them, but also in particular for Lorraine Bracco, because
after
her
Goodfellas,
character, coming off of Goodfellas, which is, not just many people's favorite Scorsese film, but many people's, top 5 movie anyway.
Right.
But Lorraine Bracco's such a cartoonish bonehead in this. I mean, so is Fisher Stevens, but the fact that she's just played so stupidly that it's so weird. It feels like such a downgrade of a role because of that. I mean, it's a prominent role in the movie, but still, like, you can't help but think, like, what? I don't know. The role, like, by the end when all the hacking is going on and she's like, Rabbit's cancer brain, whoa! She can't make heads or tail of it.
You know who else I would have known at this point already, and I forgot he was in the movie. I should mention, this is the second time I've seen this movie. Didn't see it in the 90s. I probably first saw Hackers about 10 years ago. But my only time until now. But I forgot Jesse Bradford was in this at all. But him I would have already seen because he starred in that Soderbergh movie, King of the Hill, as like a younger kid.
Oh, I don't think I knew who Jesse Bradford was at this point. I wouldn't until, Bring It On. But
so I already seen him. And then Penn Jillette, but Penn Jillette was, established. And Penn Jillette being in this movie is a little bit of a like, hey, it's Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller.
Hey, it's a Penn and Jillette. I would have also known Lawrence Mason from The Crow the year before. So Lawrence Mason, who played Lord Nikon, was Tintin, the first victim of The Crow.
Of course. I was trying to, it's funny, I looked him up and I must have missed The Crow because he's in a lot of stuff, but I'm like, what do I really know him from? And it's The Crow. And it's one of those funny things where
he's playing younger. He's playing a high school.
But he doesn't seem it. He's not in this high school.
He's not
in the high school with them. Yeah, he's not in the high school with them. So
okay, and
he's just kind of creepy. Then he's hanging out with kids.
So people we would come to know later. For me, Jesse Bradford. But then for everyone else, Felicity Huffman, Wendell Pierce, The Wire's Wendell Pierce, and in many different things. And then randomly too, as other Secret Service agents.
Yes,
Mark Antony and Michael Gaston, who you think would actually have more of a weird character payoff because they have an actual scene of dialogue together, but at the end they just crash their car and that's the end of their story. I do remember the few first times I would see this movie and forgot about Mark Antony's character. When he shows up at the hacker party and he's undercover, part of me always, like the first few times I was like, oh, he actually loves hackers and just wants to be one of them. Like he's not a mole or anything. Like he's not spying on them. Like he just wants to, he doesn't tell his conservative partner who thinks hackers are communists. He just goes to these hacker house parties.
It's so weird because Mark Antony being in this really threw me too. Although looking at it, he's acted here or there, like he's in Bringing Out the Dead and Big Night. I just saw him in The Heights, but him being in this musical, even though he's not really a part of that, it still makes a little more sense than just him randomly being like, a secret special agent in Hackers. But hey, I guess he was doing a few.
I always remember him I think the most prominent role I've seen him in, and I know he was in a movie with Jennifer Lopez, like they were co-leads. But for me, it's Man on Fire.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is the movie that I don't know that I've really seen him in anything else except this. Okay. I'm tempted not to go through this beat by beat, but
we just said a lot of stuff without going through much of the movie.
I know, but I want to say that the main quote unquote plot of this movie isn't great. It's needlessly convoluted. Joey hacks into a Gibson computer that can for a mineral company, and he copies what he doesn't realize is a worm. Like, I'm breaking it down from what we know at the end of this movie. He copies what is a worm program that's stealing money that is been launched by the head of their cybersecurity, who goes by the Plague, that's his handle, or Eugene Belford's his real name, in collusion with Lorraine Bracco's CEO type character to steal money. And once it's stolen, the Plague then has to develop a virus in order to convince the Secret Service to confiscate all of Joey's shit.
Right.
But he doesn't recover the disc. So the virus is separate from the worm program, which is weird. And then, so the virus is all a cover for the worm. And then at the end, he's going to launch the virus and blame it on all the hackers. And then in the midst of this, because Dade has a record, he goes to Dade. Before threatening Dade, he tries to connect to Dade like hacker to hacker, like, hello, fellow teenager, with his hat on backwards, and like trying to like get to him and say that, you know, hackers don't have friends or family, and but then to get the disc back. It's all it's needlessly complex in ways that it didn't have to be. Like all it could have been about was hackers uncovering a conspiracy to do things. But I don't know. I don't think I fully understood it until like when I saw it originally in the theater. I just sort of went along with everything. Right. And the fact that Lorraine Bracco's character and Fisher Stevens, they have no chemistry together. They're both sort of goofballs, but they're also sleeping together, and none of that element feels right. And that whole thing is sometimes played for comedy because the Plague is such an over-the-top weenie. Like, he's such a drip that it's hard to take him seriously at all. Like I saw your tweet about how you cackled when he skateboarded into the room.
Right, which is like the first time you fully see him. You see him like in bed, I think, at first, with his covers sheets over his head, and then he skates in, and that was amazing.
But the stars of this movie, though, is the 90s. Is like, you could say that this is how hackers dressed, or pretend that this is what the cyber community dressed like, the cyberpunk community. But this was just a lot of like turned up to 11 East Village fashion in New York, of just like club kids mixed with rave kids, mixed with just the homeless kids on the streets in Greenwich Village, who would basically run away from Connecticut and live on the streets because they hated their bougie rich parents. Right. But yeah, so it was basically the teen style was almost the star of this movie, and the rollerblades and the music, and you know, just the overall vibe.
And yeah, it's interesting. I mean, one thing that definitely stands out is that it's ahead of its time in an interesting respect, but it can't get there fully, which is the fact that Phantom Freak is very coded gay, but they don't say he's gay. And Serial Killer, Lillard's character, is very kind of androgynous. And so both of them kind of seem forward thinking. And I think you're absolutely right. They're looking at like kids in New York and village kids and whatnot who were sort of embracing this. But the movie itself, you know, a big movie Sony was putting out in 1995 couldn't be like, and two of the characters are queer. now they could. It certainly this would probably be a
like I
streaming
said, they
series.
toyed around with it, which is like, if I win the date, you wear a dress.
Right.
Like that.
There's a lot of like we're gonna dance around the fact that in real life, like these kids, some of the kids that probably inspired certainly the fashion and some of this stuff.
And then Razor and Blade, too,
Yeah.
as who sound like Ninja Turtle villains, but they're like slightly androgynous themselves.
They silly Ninja Turtle villains, which, by the way, is the other thing that made me think of Ninja Turtles, is the club they hang out in, which feels very much like the place where Shredder brings the teens.
Yeah,
in
which Sam
had
Rockwell
skating
offers you
ramps.
cigarettes. Yeah,
and that place had skating ramps, but this has just ramps to rollerblade. You could rollerblade through the entire place.
You could also skateboard too. Anything with wheels, honestly.
But skateboarding was seen as old and passe and plaguey.
It was very plaguey. It was problematic and it was plaguey. Serial killer Emmanuel Goldstein, aka Matthew Lillard's character, there's a weird aside when he's asking Freak, it's like, can I stay at your place tonight? And Dade's like, what's that about? And all he said was his parents missed Woodstock and he's been paying for it ever since. I don't know what that means. Like, does he I guess it just means he has a bad home life, but is it like abusive? Because his parents are pissed they missed Woods. I don't know.
Like maybe if they'd gone to Woodstock, they would have been hippies and more open to things. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they were
like they're conservative, but they wouldn't have been if they went to Woodstock.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird line, is what I'm saying.
It's a weird line. Matthew Lillard, who I love, and I think is a really great actor. And yes, in this and Scream, he is at an 11, and he's great at an 11. But he's also can be a nuanced actor. And if you've seen him in Twin Peaks, what was the other FX show he did a few years ago? The Bridge.
I don't know, but he's been on Good Girls, hasn't he?
Yeah, I believe so. And he's a great actor. But yeah, in the mid 90s, he was going crazy, but in a very fun way. And certainly this, with rubbing the nipple and making the faces,
sticking the tongue out like Bill the Cat.
Yeah, I saw him. A few years ago, he moderated a screening of Scream. Afterwards, he moderated a Q&A with Kevin Williamson. And he was like, what the hell was I doing in that movie? And sticking the tongue out and all that. But they're like, you're great. But he was self-critical of himself.
I think this movie taught me that the Secret Service cracked down on hackers, not the FBI, I guess. Because that's who Wendell Pierce worked for. Also, the world was just enamored with hackers that this guy was always on the news giving interviews about hacking.
Yeah.
I watched the news. I never saw anyone from the Secret Service talking about catching hackers.
Right.
But this guy was always being interviewed. So that when you turn on TV, you could see him.
I mean, I know that the idea of hackers was something that would pop up in the news once in a while. But yeah, this movie, again, the world this movie exists in, it's something that's like there's a hacker update every day on the news.
So talking about the net in this movie, so the point where the plague finally like tips over and is like, okay, the sweet come hither treatment isn't working. I'm going to threaten Dade and his mom. So the whole thing is like, your mom now has a criminal record. She's going to be arrested. And then I'm going to actually also delete her from the system. Like that felt like the net. But then the prank elements of the net also popped in, which is there's a lot of dares in this movie that go back and forth. It's like the hacker contests, rival hackers, sort of like like Wild West showdowns or something like that.
Right.
And specifically the one where Kate and Dade have to like ruin this guy's life, wrecking his credit card, getting him arrested, like all these actual awful things.
Sure.
Making him dead. I don't know. I like sort of the weird hacker camaraderie in this movie. I like the meet cute and will they, won't they back and forth between Kate and Dade. Were they started seeing each other during this movie or after it? I don't know.
I'm sure during. I mean, I shouldn't say sure. I'm guessing during. I did think it was fun when they show that she's having dreams about him too. But
then they had the freak having a dream about getting arrested, and then he got arrested. It's just a weird dream movie.
Well, like you said, the visuals again, because they don't want it to be boring. People typing on a computer like it really would look. So they have to kind of visualize it. They do the sort of Tron vision, the end where they have the cameras spinning around each of them.
Well, also the rotating phone booths.
Yeah.
Let's see.
He at one point he has a laptop that's transparent. It kind of proceeds. It foresaw the iMac that would come out a couple years later.
I'm telling you, this movie predicted quite a bit.
Or people saw this movie and said, "I want to do that."
So you can bullet point some things here, but I'm going to skip a bit to basically the end is where. And I remember this moment from the trailer when Plague is like, "You're not good enough to beat me." He's like, "Maybe I'm not, but we are." And it's sort of like Plague's version of being a hacker, being a loner, which has probably also caused him to be a dipshit criminal and who hates everybody and trusts no one. He's like this, hackers are samurai. We don't have anyone, compared to Dade, who finally finds a community and friends in an unexpected place. And then not only that, but hackers of the world unite. Global hacking comes in at the end from like Norway and Japan and all over the world, where everyone, the entire hacker community, and it becomes more of like a social movement against the machine to save, not only like take down the actual criminal who's a fellow hacker, it's not anyone else, but stop pollution, stop oil tankers from tipping over, which was a huge other environmental concern in the 90s because it kept happening. So it's sort of like the community versus the loner and finding family where you least expect it. And there are fun elements of this movie that I enjoyed and still enjoy.
No, I think it's a fun movie. I obviously I don't have the nostalgia for it because I didn't see it for whatever strange reason that day. I don't know why I didn't go that weekend to see Hackers when I saw everything else. And I thought that, that girl's so hot in the trailer. But I do see the appeal of it. I mean, watching it now, it's just like, it's a fun, goofy movie with a very likable cast and very attractive cast there's just like the idea of this. It's just you if you embrace this sort of alternative universe, I meant to say alternate, but I guess alternative works too.
It's alternative too, yeah.
Yes, this alternate universe idea.
It's counterculture. It's like
you can find your group of fellow hackers at your high school.
They're all at Stuyvesant. They're all at
Stuyvesant. The stylized way they're all dressing. Just like this is like a cool group, but they are fighting their anti-establishment. Hack the planet. Hack the planet. By the way, is so sort of a thing that I say it, even though I'd only seen the movie once, and it's not like it's just a thing. Like it's a fun thing. And him, so many people were tweeting me that night as I was tweeting that I was watching it. The GIF of Johnny Lee Miller, looking out at the cop car at the end, yelling "Hack the planet."
I did like when he was trying to tell serial killer where he hid the disc. He threw it in a trash bin. He's like, "They're trashing the data. They're trashing trash."
Yes.
Trashy trash.
I thought it was funny when a serial killer said a wake-up call from the Nintendo generation. I thought the prominent use of Jolt Cola for the Plague was funny. I guess it works because Jolt Cola was already like a decade old at that point.
Jolt Cola, for those who don't know, was a extreme soda sold in the 80s and still in the 90s, apparently the drink of choice for hackers, according to Razor and Blade.
Twice the sugar, all the caffeine.
Twice the sugar, all the caffeine was the tagline.
Motto. Yeah.
Which is to say, I don't know where, actually I should look up where Jolt ranked caffeine wise, because there is still a hierarchy of caffeine, like Coke. And then it's like more, I think Dr. Pepper has more, then I think Mountain Dew has more than that. I don't know where Jolt lands on that sequence, but
when I was a little kid, my friend Dan Sloyan and I, we stayed up late. When I say late, it was probably like midnight, but it felt really late, watching Alien and Aliens, and we had a 6-pack of Jolt that we purposely got to watch.
I mean, that is living.
It was glorious.
I love it. Okay, Zero Cool. His name in the movie is Crash Override. Sort of. I don't know if I'm for or against it. I like, the end reveal when they're on that date. It is upsetting to me that they go into that pool in their clothes. I'm not saying they needed a skinny dip, but they're like in their full clothing.
Right.
It seems,
underwear would be fine.
It seems very uncomfortable. and he has the buildings set up so that the lights spell out crash and burn. I think that would have been a good moment to reveal that. Earlier in the movie, I think serial killer or somebody's like, wait, you're crash overriding your acid burn, crash and burn. Like they already say it.
Yeah, they should have saved
it. Works as a callback, but I think it would have been better as saved to the end. But then the downfall of the two villains with Lorraine Bracco and Fisher Stevens getting arrested, they're played for straight up comedy. And I don't even understand the Plague's arrest, which is he's in the middle of I don't know if he's starting or in the middle of a 14-hour flight to Japan, I think. And then he gets arrested in midair. They don't wait till the plane they have to land the plane now. Like, why would they arrest him in midair?
Yeah, that seemed like way more elaborate than it needed to be with like coming up behind him and all. It seemed like they just wanted to make it a surprise.
Like they wanted him to feel like he had made it and was safe.
Right.
But now they have to inconvenience every single person on the plane and land
Turn the plane around. Fuck you.
Yeah, I hope they were like right by Japan at that point. Or, well, actually, I think the announcement was like there's a 14-hour flight or something, and the idea is they just taken off, but still a huge inconvenience. And then he's like, I'll never fly this airline again. It's just played for womp womp, which is not to say like there was nothing more to Plague than being womp womp anyhow.
Right.
Yeah. So then what else do you have to add? Urban Dance Squad, who is a real band, made a notable appearance in this movie, playing a sort of a house party concert.
A couple quotes that jump out is one, I was like, are they almost quoting Child's Play on purpose, which is "This is the end, my friend." They throw in the word "my," but it's very similar to the end of Child's Play.
Well, "This is the end, my friend." Is that verbatim from the Doors song? Because "This is the end, my only friend."
It's not quite the Doors. It's not quite Child's Play.
It's somewhere in between, which is why we like our pop culture, between the Doors and Child's Play.
Life's madness. I liked a lot when Angelina Jolie says, "Use your best viruses to buy us some time," because I just like the idea that everyone's got their best viruses.
Well, they do. Everyone's got their own viruses because
Right.
Even when they were having their contest, it's like you can only use your own passwords. You can only bring these things. You can't ask anyone for help. It's like they all have their own like weird tricks.
Right.
And then the Plague is like, "Die, you dickweeds," and he's having fun like knocking out their viruses. Which again are all computer and cartoony and set up to look like Lawnmower Man shit. That's all I got.
I will throw in, trying not to be creepy as I say this, I was surprised to see Angelina Jolie's boobs in this movie.
Yes, see-through top.
And then you also see her topless in his dream when she unzips her jacket and gets on top of him. And it turns out it's not really happening. And I was surprised, not because I'm seeing her naked, because I've seen her more naked in Gia, but because this movie is PG-13. And PG-13 had a strange route with nudity when it was introduced in the mid-'80s. There was actually a lot of boobs in PG-13 movies. If you look at like European Vacation and other movies coming out then, it was like, okay, we can still just have like boobies in PG-13 movies. And then it stopped. And by the time, and I realized this movie's 2 years before Titanic, but I remember by the time Titanic opened, they actually had to explain, well, her nudity was deemed okay because it's done really in a very non-sexual way. He's painting her. It's like done literally for art. So that was how the MPAA was okay with it. This movie, the dream sequences is getting towards a sex scene. So it just was funny to me because it seems like one of the last times that would have been in a PG-13 movie is Hackers, because it just threw me with the rating and the tone of the movie, because you wouldn't see that today in a PG-13 movie of this vibe that happening.
I was surprised, pleasantly so.
I wasn't angry, but I was surprised.
You're like, I'm about to write a strongly worded letter.
Also, I'll mention, being comic book geek that I am, that long before I saw Hackers, again, but I already had seen the trailers. I knew what she looked like with the short hair. But I was amused, as were others, when they introduced Daisy Johnson, aka Quake, in Marvel Comics, when Brian Bendis introduced her in the comic book Secret War. this was a weird era because they already had done it with the ultimate Nick Fury, who was drawn to look like Samuel L. Jackson very distinctly and would one day be played by him. But if you look at Secret War, Quake, Daisy Johnson was 100% modeled after Angelina Jolie in Hackers. Same face, same haircut. It's just sort of very blatantly like, hey, it's Angelina Jolie in Hackers, but she's a SHIELD agent with earthquake powers. So there is your but obviously she did not end up playing her in live action, though. Now she is in the MCU in Eternals. So there is your Hackers Marvel connection.
All right. Thank you for going with us on this Hack the Planet journey. And this movie cost $20 million. It seems high.
Well, again, it does seem high, but they must have I'll say again, by the mid 90s, filming this movie in New York was like a decision, like for Sony to do that. Or sorry, it wasn't Sony. It was, I said Sony earlier. It was MGM. Amazon owns this movie now. Amazon's Hackers.
I'm just saying, for a movie with no stars.
And no like giant, but it does have effects because they were doing, effects for
It must have just been really expensive computer effects, which probably just cost more back then.
At that time, doing those effects probably were much bigger.
It's probably it. Yeah.
But yeah, so
I can't see it anywhere else. Like there's no action scenes except for rollerblading. So yeah.
Location shooting and a lot of CGI effects, and maybe Fisher Stevens got like 10 million. I don't know.
Jesus Christ. Plague cashed in. All right.
I have one last thing I'll say, which is I thought it was funny that according to the wiki page, Fisher Stevens said that Quentin Tarantino was considered for the role of the Plague. Now it's only Fisher Stevens, and that could be some anecdotal thing that he once heard, but I'd like to believe it's true just because we know for sure Tarantino was sought after for Seed of Chucky. So I hope we keep doing movies where they wanted Tarantino.
I can't imagine someone wanting Tarantino specifically for an acting role outside of a Tarantino film, but apparently that happens.
No, he did that movie. What was that movie he did in the mid 90s? God damn it. Now it's going to drive me absolutely. We can't end this podcast without mentioning the movie. Was it a Dylan McDermott movie?
Maybe it was a Dermot Mulroney movie and not Dylan McDermott movie. Diller McDermott.
It's one of those guys. We need to pause we need to keep wasting time for a second while I look at his filmography. God, he has 38 credits as an actor. That's way too much.
Who? He was on an episode of Golden Girls as an
Destiny Turns on the Radio. That is what I was thinking. Because obviously he's got like a cameo in Desperado, and it is Dylan McDermott. Oh my God, I remembered it all. Nancy Travis and James LeGros. Jim Belushi, but Tarantino was Johnny Destiny, the title character in Destiny Turns on the Radio.
Jesus Christ. Long live Gilbert McDillett. All right. Right. Now that we've solved that problem, join us for Demolition Man next week. And until then, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.
Shakma! Shakma!